begins with Paul, two coaches left.
Coach, I noticed against Arkansas, you guys played a little bit of zone. Is that something you may look at more to help the defensive efforts, or is that just more of a game flow and matchup situation?
We've played some zone throughout the season, probably had more possessions of zone in that particular game. It's a little more of a junk look than an actual old school zone. Not to get into the weeds on it, but when you're down like that and you're on the road, you're looking for something to disrupt them, get them out of their rhythm, and it almost worked. They struggled a few possessions, but in the end, they scored enough, obviously, to keep us at bay. But who knows if it will be required here, down in Nashville or after that.
Go ahead, Benjamin, and then we'll go to Sam.
Coach Claudel had a really nice game on Saturday, started knocking down some big shots for you. What have you noticed just out of him lately? I know he had a few rough performances prior to that in terms of just how he's been playing and working out since he's been moving to that bench role. And where do you see him going forward?
Yeah, I think, at this point in your career when you're in that position and, he made a conscious move to go to a little higher level than he's experienced in the past. And from talking to him and his parents in the process and even since, playing in the NCAA tournament was a big reason why he made the change that he did. He wanted to have that experience, and I think he understood that because of moving up a level that, maybe his numbers wouldn't be as glossy as they were in his previous 3 seasons. And it's one of those things in life where, it's easy to say, but a little more difficult when you're actually going through it, because he's been used to basically being either the leading scorer or one of the leading scorers. And that's an adjustment for everybody to make. And he's not the only one, in college basketball that's been going through it. But he's definitely hit the reset button. You can see it with his approach and practice, and happy for him. Certainly he's not happy about, the end result, but hopefully it's something that he'll continue doing. We're just a better team when we got him and a couple other guys that are making baskets for us.
We'll go to Sam and then to Danny P. and then to David.
Is there something at all with this particular group of players and team you have, you think that, a beneficial trait or strength that you can go into a tournament like this where you play a game every single day to possibly make a run and win the tournament?
Yeah, I don't know. They're resilient. They've, from what I see and hear and the time I get to spend with them, they got a good vibe. They like each other. We're all human, and when things don't go the way we want them for us individually, unfortunately, especially for young people, it stunts them a little bit. It gets them off track. And we've had some of that, like I'm sure every team has had some of that. But in the middle of games when we're all, trying to achieve one singular goal at that time, which is to win, that's popped up, here and there throughout the season. And we're certainly trying to learn and grow from that and avoid those situations. But like I've said all along, I've not lost any faith in this group. We're disappointed with some of the results that we've had down the stretch, but what everyone doesn't see is their attitude when they get back to work, when they get back together, when they get back on the practice court. And I don't think they've lost any confidence in what we're doing. I don't think they've lost any confidence in themselves or our team. And now we just got to go prove it.
Coach, how satisfied was it for you to see that Josh and Cameron Matthews made all SEC? Two of your leaders of your team were recognized in that way.
Yeah, both very deserving in their own rights. Certainly, like you said, happy for each of them and their families to be recognized for the awards and honors that they received today. It doesn't surprise me. I don't think it probably surprised anyone in the room that both of them were acknowledged for their play this season. And it's always fun at the end of the year to see, the teams. And I think it's a little bit different format this year than it's been in the past with the 3 teams of 5 instead of having 2 teams with 7 or 8. But that's time. It's just that time of the year.
Conference tournaments for all sports is kind of a unusual challenge, especially those that they know they're headed to the NCAA tournament. What are your ambitions to use this week, looking even beyond Nashville, or is Nashville just an end in itself?
Win games. Win games. That's the mantra. That's the goal. And win as many games as we can. Does that mean we're playing on Sunday? Hope so. But we want to just focus on LSU and winning that basketball game. And then we'll have plenty of time to prepare to win, the next game against Missouri if we're successful in the first game. But, it's tried and true, and, we're going to focus on what we can control. And right now that's our preparation for LSU, and just to get that feeling back. We need that feeling back. We lost in overtime to Texas and then go down to Arkansas and lose, and the ball's in the air and the buzzer goes off. And those are hard. You win those games, and the mood and the vibe and the feel is completely different. And that's just the way, this game is. I've been on both sides of it where you get a bounce or a shot, and it changes everything by how you're perceived, by how, you feel, by how others around you feel. And, my job is to make sure that, that it doesn't just rip our hearts out, that it doesn't make us not believe in who we are and what we've done. And I feel good about, where we're at going in. I don't feel good about some of the results, don't get me wrong, but you can't sit in it too long. You just can't. As much as maybe my personality is to bemoan it and be upset about it, I wouldn't be doing my team, any favors by continuing to dwell on it and keep bringing it up. They know we've had our discussions in film, and we finished practice today before we head down to Nashville tonight, and we had a great focused practice, and that's exactly what I expected us to have.
Go to Jacob to coach's right.
Coach, you haven't played many teams twice. How different is it preparing for a team in the second matchup opposed to the first, especially when you won the first matchup?
It's nice, to be honest with you. That was our third last regular season game of the year, so it's very familiar with, all of us. And there'll be tweaks made, since we played, and I'm sure there'll be some tweaks that we haven't seen as the game unfolds on Wednesday. But it is nice, I would imagine they feel the same way of not having to start over from scratch, especially since we played them so recently in terms of just the time sensitivity and the amount that you have to spend, going. And, like Missouri will be a little bit different, if we get to that point, because it's been so long since we played them.
2 more, we'll go to Benjamin and then back to Sam to wrap us up.
Yeah, Jacob was just touching on a little bit, but it's only been a week and a half or so since you've seen LSU. So do you feel like, are they going to be any different that they're going to throw at you since that first matchup? What have you seen out of them lately, and what can you learn from that first matchup, even though it was a win?
Yeah, they played us very, very well in our barn. They had the upper hand for the majority of the first how many minutes, and we finally went on a little bit of a run there in the middle of the second half and got some separation before we were able to close it out. But I felt like they, were, like I said, in control for a lot of the early minutes, the first half in general. So they've got to feel pretty good. That would be my sell. Hey, we played them, head-to-head, toe-to-toe in their barn. Now we're going to a neutral site. And, obviously at this point, they're not making the NCAA tournament unless they go on a run and win the tournament championship. So, like I said earlier in the season, that's a different animal that you have to deal with. And, we have to understand that. But, we got to play better. I'm sure both of us feel the same way. They're going to learn, from what worked last time and what didn't. And then certainly the chess match is, what are they going to run and what are we going to run?
In terms of the defense, just particularly the last 3 games you've played away from the hump, what are just some of the issues you're seeing in that regard, and what's kind of your concern level of that carrying over now that you aren't playing any more home games pretty much the rest of the season?
I mean, our defense has been a concern for quite some time. I don't. Doesn't matter where we're playing. We've had some struggles, and you know it's a tough compare too. You know, our first year was 9th, our second year was 22nd, and we knew we were going to take a dip. Certainly didn't want to have this big a dip in terms of our numbers, metrics, etc. And I remember a couple weeks ago saying that, I think it was to the radio folks though, not in here, that I thought our defense was better than our numbers. And then we went out and I don't know if it was before Ole Miss or after Ole Miss, but it was right in that span where we played really well and got the wins at Ole Miss and against Texas A&M at home. And then for whatever reason, we didn't bottle that up. And this isn't coach speak, but at the end of the day, it's my responsibility. Like, it's my job to figure it out, if you will. And equally important is to get them to play with the type of energy and motor that's required to play the way we want to play and to play this particular defense. And it hasn't been good enough. And, you know, we can point fingers and talk about a lot of different factors on why, but at the end of the day, it's a bottom line deal. And, you know, I'm trying my best to shore up as much as I can in a short time period before we play in Nashville, and then hopefully when we play in the NCAA tournament so we can be better on the court.
Thanks, guys. We'll see some of you tomorrow for the open practice in Nashville.
All right, guys.